Games are amazing, but the world of gaming can be weird. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 weird gaming stories from May 2019. Number 10 is a Shiba Inu walking simulator. It's actually specifically called Play Dog, Play Tag, and of course as a simulator, it is a one-to-one, absolutely flawless reproduction of walking a Shiba Inu. You know, because normally you just let the dog drag you and throw you into buildings and vehicles, destroying them. That's what a Shiba Inu walk is like. Perfectly simulated here by Play Dog, Play Tag. Now, if you said to yourself, hey, that looks really real and very interesting, but where's the competitive element? Because normally there's a competitive element to your world-destroying Shiba Inu walk. And guess what? There is a two-player versus mode, which you play split screen, because that makes sense. In fact, every single second of this, it just makes more and more sense to me. I think this seems very realistic. Simulator is the right word for it. It's obviously intentional. It's not trying to really simulate anything, but I just wanted to note that this is one of the more liberal uses of the word simulator I've ever seen. Fun looking though, for sure. Number 9. Not quite as thankful for this one. A bug appeared that caused players in Red Dead Online to just come across massive piles of dead horses. And not just like dead, like skinned, like maybe they've been through a fire or somebody just skinned them. Now, for a while, people were wondering if this was intentional. It seemed to come with game crashes for a lot of people, so a lot of people were suspicious it was a bug. And when Rockstar finally addressed it on the 20th, everyone found out it was a bug, one that would get rid of other animals too. So it'd be dead silent, there wouldn't be a lot of ambient noise, and there'd be a big pile of dead horses. That would probably be hilarious. Not in real life, of course. It would be some sort of harbinger of the apocalypse. But in Red Dead Online, that'd be hilarious. Number 8, a wedding planning company in Japan created a new style of wedding that you can purchase with them that, quote, faithfully reproduces the worldview of Final Fantasy XIV in wedding form, was announced as a collaboration between Square Enix and a wedding hall called Desero in Kobe, and people wanting to have that wedding can submit applications for the planning process. Now, I don't mean to make fun of anybody for wanting a wedding the way they want it. There's not a lot of big events like that in your life, and if you want to do it the Final Fantasy XIV way, go for it. But I'm really interested in about 50 years when they're showing their wedding photos to their grandchildren, and they have to explain that they just really liked the 14th entry in the Final Fantasy series to the point where it was their wedding. I love imagining this scene. I mean, who knows? Maybe looking back, people will like Final Fantasy XIV even more in 50 years. Maybe it will be legendary. Maybe those that tell of the exploits and Eorzea will be looked back on as heroes. Number 7, a patient who was terminally diagnosed with cancer posted to the Borderlands 3 subreddit that his name was Trevor Eastman, that he's 26, and was diagnosed with stage 4 esophageal, stomach, and liver cancer, which is intense. He also posted proof of his diagnosis, just to make sure that people knew that he wasn't trying to fool them in any way, and requested there would be some way he might be able to play the new Borderlands game, and it was upvoted 9,440 times. A few weeks later, another post came from Trevor saying, one of the people from 2K have been talking to him to plan somebody to come fly out to him with a copy of the game, and thanking everybody for their support and helping make it happen, because let's be clear, that sucks, and it's awesome that they decided, hey, let's help this guy out. Number 6, the World Health Organization officially recognized gaming disorder as a disease, proving that nobody can come up with a decent name for it, like, I don't know, gaming addiction, because gaming addiction just properly describes the situation. I don't know, I don't want to make fun, because there are definitely people that have a serious addiction issue with video games, and in the World Health Organization definition, gaming disorder has to cause significant impairment in personal, family, social, educational, occupational, or other important areas of functioning, which would result in impaired control over how much one games, prioritizing gaming over other life interests, or even important daily activities, and doing all this despite the occurrence of negative consequences. It also classifies it as an addictive behavior, which I don't really understand why they didn't just call it gaming addiction. Seriously, gaming disorder just sounds like any kind of gaming is some kind of a mental health problem. Gaming addiction, on the other hand, describes, without having to define any of those things, exactly what's going on. I just consider that a weird name. That being said, is it good? Possibly. I mean, depending on how they actually set out to help people with quote-unquote gaming disorder, it could actually improve a lot of people's lives. On the other hand, people who use games as a coping mechanism for other problems, perhaps worse problems, I don't know how well this is going to affect them. Number 5, Josh Hawley, a senator from Missouri, announced that he's going to introduce legislation banning quote-unquote manipulative online game practices, particularly ones that push children to become addicted. The legislation he tends to introduce is called the Protecting Children from Abusive Games Act, and more or less would come for the loot box phenomenon. I mean, it would come for other practices that are adjacent to loot boxes, namely anything that could be classified as a gambling mechanic most likely. And on the surface, that sounds pretty good, but on the not surface, it kind of sucks that game companies couldn't have just realized that, hey, what you're doing here is going to cause the man to breathe down your neck. I mean, in theory, what most people would probably prefer is that the government doesn't get heavily involved in how video games are. But I think in order for that to happen, you can't have all of the major video game companies doing blatantly exploitative stuff. I personally don't really want there to be a law about these things. I would prefer that this just isn't a thing that we talk about ever again. But in order for that to happen, video game companies would have to be fundamentally different about their pursuit of money through gambling mechanics, which sucks. Number 4, a gamer managed to get a refund from Anthem despite playing it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and say that I pretty much support this because he got the refund for citing false advertising and fraud for the reasons. Anthem has had bug issues, none that I've really seen, but I haven't really played it much since the launch. And apparently loot is still in a state, not a good state, just a state. Well, let's even go beyond that. BioWare had a roadmap for this game that they haven't even bothered to stick to. It's a disaster, like it should just be regarded as like a disaster at this point, and they basically have promised a bunch of things that haven't happened. I would almost say that there's no ongoing outrage about it just because people were just like, you know what, actually no, I don't even care. Just let's do something other than Anthem, which is quite interesting to me at least. Anyways, they were able to hit up Amazon and get a refund because of the advertising of content delivery that was not even kind of a thing that happened. And Amazon was like, all right, whatever. We don't really want to deal with this Anthem crap. So, just in case you're still not happy with that and bought it at Amazon, you've got recourse. That's actually kind of not normal. Normally, we don't have recourse in situations like this as individual consumers. So, I mean, that's weird, but good. Number 3, a Sony patent was filed for a gyroscopic VR chair, which would rotate the player's entire body in relation to what they see in VR. Basically, the seat works in tandem with the VR to provide an experience that is much more immersive, which might make theme park rides that you just do in your living room possible, assuming, you know, you can fit this thing in your living room. It doesn't look like a thing you could fit in your living room, to be clear. Or maybe they won't even do that. Maybe it'll be some kind of like arcade experience to bring arcades back. I can dream, can't I? Bring arcades back. Come on. Number 2, I am just going to start this one off with a quote from Subverse's creator, because I think that this quote pretty much is the story. I don't think you need to say anything else. I will, but after the game became a Kickstarter hit, during an interview, he said he didn't expect the success and that they just wanted to make dick lasers and big bouncy anime titties, which is the goofiest sentence I've ever heard. Like, there's no way he didn't focus group that sentence. I don't know for what demographic exactly. Dick lasers and big bouncy anime titties, not necessarily oil and water, but also not necessarily the same thing, let's just say. It was a big hit though, like it raised over $2 million. I guess like they know what they're doing as far as who they're targeting. So to be fair, maybe more people just need to take that approach. I don't know. And finally, number 1, in China, Tencent, the primary funding people for PUBG, shut down PUBG on mobile in China in favor of a clone of the game that has no blood. Now, the reason given for the shutdown is that they were unable to gain approval from the Chinese government. I'm not 100% on that, because Tencent really has a lot of pull in the Chinese government, let's just say. The other game, Game for Peace, is more or less the same thing, basically. It looks very, very similar, and players have reported that their progression history carried over to Game for Peace, which is very curious. Definitely sounds a lot like Game for Peace is just PUBG, but you know, whatever. Also, this goofy game, you shoot somebody, they don't die. I don't know how to put it, they wave at you. Like, hi, how you doing? Thanks for the bullets in the face. I appreciate those bullets, thanks. How are you? The weather's nice. Well, have a good day. Bye-bye. China's weird. I just stopped asking, like, how, why, how? Nah, you guys enjoy your Game for Peace. Couple bonuses for you. A, CJ and Big Smoke in the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's beyond amusing to me. They put their lines, and Big Smoke is an obvious Mr. X transplant. He's bigger than CJ, but he's also asking CJ if he's alright and stuff. Someone else modded a bunch of anime into Fallout 4. Although, maybe that's perhaps a little less weird. Maybe it's just weird that it took this long for that to happen. And finally, we made a video about this, but Sony and Microsoft decided to explore a strategic partnership. Anyways, what weird gaming stuff happened to you this last month? I'm sure it's something, because it's been a weird month. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. And if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.